What's up, YouTube? It's Jackal Gold Kick. So in this video, shit, we're going to be talking about what if Frank West starred in Resident Evil 4 Remake. That's what we're going to be talking about. So, what if Frank West was the main character in Resident Evil 4 Remake instead of Leon? How different would it be? Well, let's talk about it. I mean, first of all, I think Frank would have it. He'd probably, like, okay, well, Frank's pretty badass, much like Leon. Frank was, tearing off zombies' heads in Dead Rising 1, picking up soldiers and throwing them, suplexing soldiers, and he's a photojournalist. I think Frank could handle himself. He'd probably roll up. It'd be different because, what is that, a Wiz Khalifa reference? You roll up, I roll up, what the fuck? But like Frank, right? It would be a different plot because Frank's a photojournalist. He's there to get the scoop. He ain't there to rescue the president's daughter. So the plot, basically, it'd be Resident Evil 4 Remake, off the record, starring Frank West. How would it go? Well, gameplay-wise, it'd probably be more melee-focused because, well, Frank is more of a melee guy. So he'd probably be fighting Plagas with his hands and trying to rip their heads off and picking up, like, pieces of wood and cedar and hitting them with it. The plot would probably be Frank hears about this, leak in the government that the daughter went missing. He's like, all right, I'm going to go investigate. I'm going to see what's going on. This could be a scoop of a lifetime. No more fucking covering wars, even though I cover wars. And he sneaks into the back of a fucking vehicle of the Spanish cops. Maybe Leon could be in the game. Maybe you could have Psychopath Leon, where Leon's actually evil, Maybe they sent him and he actually did become infected. Fuck it. DR2 off the record style, Psychopath Chuck, Psychopath Leon. So Frank is in the back of the fucking car, and, he doesn't know what the Spanish cops are saying, because I don't think Frank speaks Spanish, does he? Yeah, Spain. So then after that, he'd get out of the vehicle, and what else would Frank do? He'd be like, shit, man, this is a rural area. What the hell is going on here? There wouldn't be no Ed. I don't think he'd come in a chopper, at least. And through the village section, Frank would probably be like, man, this is crazy. He'd be taking tons of pictures, taking pictures of the Plagas. Like, this is going to be a scoop of a lifetime here. He'd probably be picking up pieces of cedar, hitting them. His interactions would be interesting, especially if he met Ashley. He'd be like, look, I can save you, but I'm here for a scoop. I don't work for the government. I'm Frank West. I'm a photojournalist, Ashley. And she's like, well, they were supposed to send an agent. Who the hell are you? I'm Frank West. I covered wars. Maybe that's good enough. Let's be honest. Frank would probably, I'm not going to go there, but, he would take pictures, escort Ashley. He'd probably fucking meet Sadler in the church and be like, man, you got a nice robe there, man. Care if I take a picture of you? And he's like, don't take a picture of my church. Don't take a picture of me. I don't want this revealed to the public. And Frank's like, I gotta get the scoop, man. Like, what the? It's hard to, because this whole idea is absurd. I know it's absurd, but I'm trying my best, damn it, to fucking click all the pieces in this fucking what if video. But you'd have Frank with Ashley, be in the fucking church. Sadler would talk about his plans, and Frank would be like, he'd probably say something like, man, you got some problems, man. Like, I can get with regular religion, but I can't mess with this Los Humanos crap. And then Sadler tells him he's infected, and Frank's like, oh, that's just great. Oh, no, he would say, fantastic. Not only am I here trying to get a scoop of these Las Plagas, and I got to rescue this woman who I'm not even assigned to protect, I'm just getting a scoop. Now I'm infected, whatever the fuck this is. And then Frank goes through the village fighting Ganados with freaking seed. The game would probably be way harder because he probably would use guns, but Frank would be using melee weapons, trying to fight all these fucking people, getting through the village. Frank would probably, I actually think Frank would actually put up a better fight against Big Cheese than Leon did. Because think about it, Dead Rising 1, Frank can tear zombies' heads off, and he beat Brock hand-to-hand combat, a military guy. So he'd probably actually give the Big Cheese a run for his money. He'd probably see Big Cheese and be like, that's a big ball, motherfucker. Probably take his camera, throw it at him, probably do a jump kick and roundhouse kick. Frank would probably fucking do a football tackle on his ass, and they'd wrestle each other. In terms of Luis, I think Frank would probably get along well with Luis. Maybe he'd be like, look, man, you seem like a cool dude. It's cool you're a ladies man, but you got to tell me some information, man. I need to get the scoop. And Luis would be like, well, I'll tell you the scoop, Frank, but, you know, take those pictures. You know, you got study to, you got stuff like that. What else would you have? What else would you have? Big cheese fight. Frank would probably fight him with his hands, beat his ass. Taking pictures, and him and Ashley's like, you know, I guess I can hang with you because you can get me out of this fucked up thing I'm in. But Frank's like, you know, I'm just a guy who takes pictures. I don't know how the fuck I ended up in a situation like this. What the fuck's going on? And then there's a crash chopper. Here's where you can introduce fucking psychopath Leon. And Frank's like, he sees, he's like, what the hell? And Ashley's like, that's the guy that was sent to protect me. Who the hell is this? And then Leon fires a pistol and Frank dies. You're like, what the hell is going on? And Leon is basically a lot like Krauser, where he's infected with the Plagas and he's Sadler's henchman. And it's an ass beating where Frank tries to fight Leon, but he gets beat up because Leon's got the Plagas. Leon runs off with Ashley. You go to the castle. Frank would probably have just great interactions with Salazar. Because Salazar would, you know, instead of Kennedy, it would be, you know, Mr. West, welcome to the castle. Take some pictures of my area. You'd be like, man, not only are you so short, but you're way too old, man. Shouldn't you be in a fucking wheelchair? I don't know how Frank would talk to him, but it'd probably be some shit like, you know, he'd probably be like, Mr. West, take some pictures of this castle. It's great, isn't it? Come to get a scoop. And fucking Frank would probably be like, you know, that guy I ran into, where's this Leon guy? And where's the Ashley chick? I'm here to get a scoop, little man. He'd probably call him Little Man. He made fun of Evan. He'd call him Little Man. He'd probably take a picture of his ass. Going through the castle, fighting with fucking melee weapons. It'd actually be fucking fun. Resident Evil 4 Remake off the record starring Frank West. Beating up Zealots and Ganados with his hands. Doing fucking football tackles and throwing them over his fucking body. Not giving a shit. Taking pictures of these motherfuckers. And then when Luis died, he'd probably be affected by it. Like, damn, that was a cool guy, man. He was a ladies' man. And, you know, he helped my ass out in the cabin fight because I don't use guns. I use melee weapons and, you know, my hands and shit. So he'd be saddened by Luis. He'd be like, Sadler, you son of a bitch. I'm going to get this scoop and I'm going to kick your ass. I don't know. I can't impersonate Frank that well. But you rescue Ashley. And then he defeats Salazar. You know, Salazar would be talking to him again, and you know, Leon threw a knife, but maybe Frank throws a 2x4, or maybe Frank just says, he says, "Look, man, this is impressive and all. If it were I don't even. This whole idea is crazy. I know. How did I think of this video idea? I don't know. I'm going through changes, so you're gonna be seeing some changes from here on out." John Travolta Face Off. Anyways, Face Off and Ari. What the? I don't know how this idea came to be, but we're gonna keep going with it. Beat Salazar, and Frank's like, "Yeah, take that, little man." And then Frank, I forgot about the Ada shit, dude. If Frank met Ada, I don't know how that would go. Ada'd be like, "Who the hell are you?" I was expecting Leon. I was like, I wasn't expecting a woman in a red dress, but who's the agent guy? What's his deal? And she's like, well, he probably got infected or something. So you have some interactions with Ada and Frank. And then Frank would go to the island. You know, probably the transceiver. Maybe he'd have Otis's transceiver. So, like, Sadler would be calling him, like, you know, for a photojournalist, you sure put up a fight. But it's eventually going to be over for you. And Frank's like, I'm going to get this scoop. And the whole world's going to know my name in 3 days. It's Frank West. Maybe Sadler fucks with him and says, they'll remember you as Fred. And Frank's like, no, it's Frank, not Fred. And then maybe he runs into psychopath Leon. You have a boss fight where he beats Leon. They have some dialogue back and forth. Maybe some break the fourth wall where Leon's like, you know, I may be the psychopath here, but this is my game. And you're taking my spot. And Frank's like, you're damn right, because people want to see how I do it this way. So you get a fight with Leon and Frank. It's an ass beating on both sides, where Frank comes out as the victor because he's the main character. Then he saves Ashley. And Frank's like, you know, still isn't my job, but I'm going to get you out of here. Plus, I got a scoop to get, and the world's going to know who I am in 3 days. President's going to know him. This will be a bigger accomplishment than Willamette, right? I don't know. But after that, what would happen next? Well, what would happen next? he'd be frightened by their generators. He'd be like, holy fucking shit, these things are scary as shit. You know, all this other shit I'm facing was crazy enough. Now I'm dealing with these regenerators. And then Krauser, it would be interesting because Krauser, he'd be like, a guy here taking pictures. Where the hell did you come from? And he'd be like, who the fuck are you, Bray? With your knife? I don't even do knife fights. So Krauser and Frank would probably fisticuffs. I don't know. But they'd have an interesting interaction. They'd interact with each other. Krauser would probably be like, you know, you're nothing. You're just a guy who takes pictures. Get the fuck out of here. And Frank's like, fuck you. I'm getting this scoop. I'm Frank West. I covered wars, Beret. I covered a war that you were in, Beret. How about that? And he's like, but all you did was go on the sidelines and take pictures. You didn't actually fight in battle. You know, I don't know, some shit like that. And he beats Krauser. And then he fights Sadler at the end. And Sadler's like, you know, I've had enough of your pesky games, photojournalists, running around my area taking pictures. I'm tired of this shit. And Frank's like, I'm tired of this too, but at least I'm going to kick your ass and get a fucking scoop. I'm going to rescue Ada. But you know what would be different? You know, Leon let Ada get away with the sample. Frank wouldn't. Frank would probably slap the bitch or hit her with the camera or blind her with the camera. Like, look, you're a nice lady, but I'm taking this sample because you ain't taking it. And then he would escape. And Ed would show up in the chopper. Frank saves the day. There's the video. It's weird, but fuck it.